Okay, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, YP.
All right. Okay. All right. So that's good. Okay. Okay. So we're happy to have two talks today. The first speaker is Professor Kauda from IPMU. He will talk about the critical birational geometry and categorical DT theories. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation to AGES seminar. So it's my great pleasure to talk here. So the title of my talk is on the critical birational geometry and categorical DT theories. So first, let me begin with introduction and motivation what I'm going to talk. So here are the main questions. So I will later explain more detail about the motivation, but roughly speaking, the main questions are as follows. So the first question is that if you consider modular spaces of stable objects on Calabi C-folds, so then they depend on the choice of stability conditions like JZ stability or Bridgeton stability, whatever. And the question is that how the geometry of these modular spaces change under the change of stability conditions. So, so in general, if you have considered the smooth projectivity, you can define such modular space. For example, in the case of KC surface, such modular spaces are known to be homomorphic symplectic manifold. But on Calabi C-folds, so the geometry of such modular spaces are more complicated and it has quite bad singularities. And I'd like to propose a new framework to understand these questions. And the second question is that how the derived categories of these modular spaces change under variation of stability conditions. So this is based on a conjecture by Wolf and Kawamata, which conjecture describes the change of derived categories of cofficient sieves under some birational transformations. So and it also has to do with the wall crossing formulas in Donaldson-Thomas theory. So in this talk, I'd like to propose a new framework to address these questions in terms of so-called D-critical birational geometry. And so this is for the first question. And the next question is categorical DT theory. So instead of using derived category, I'd like to consider the categorical version of the so-called DT theory and address these questions. And yes, the output of this new framework will be, I'd expect some new interesting structures on modular spaces of stable objects on Calabi C-folds, which also involves the D-critical analog of DK equivalence conjecture. So yes, I don't talk too much about this DK conjecture, but roughly speaking, this conjecture is, let's say if you have y plus to y minus, so this is flip or flop. Then there should exist derived free face functors between derived categories or equivalence. And so this, yes, so this conjecture is widely open in the except like toric case, for example, or symplectic case. And also, I'd like to read this conjecture with the so-called categorification of wall crossing formulas in DT theory. So originally, these two theories are developed quite independently, and I'd like to unify these two ideas. So the goal of this talk is to establish the above theory for local surface. So far, it is quite hard to realize this story for arbitrary Calabi C-fold, but I'd like to focus on the local surface case. So I think, so although this is a special case of Calabi C-fold, I think this itself is a very interesting situation because we can avoid several technical subtlety, but still it is has quite interesting structures. And I'd like to give some analogy of so-called window theorem, which was developed in the case of GIT quotient stacks to approach DK equivalence conjecture in the usual sense. So now I'd like to explain about my idea about D-critical birational geometry. So in order to discuss this, I need to recall the notion of modular spaces of stable object or semi-stable shapes. So yeah, let X be a smooth projective variety, not necessarily Calabi threefold. And let's take a numerical class that is just a choice of chunk character of some thief or object in the derived category. So this is a choice. And also let's take a choice of, let's take a stability condition. So yeah, for example, you can take either slope stability, geometrical stability, or Bayesian stability condition. And yes, I don't give a precise definition of these stability conditions, but roughly speaking, this choice of sigma is equivalent to say sigma is like Z and A. Z is a map, so this is a group home, and A is so this is a heart of T structure, satisfying some axioms. And so in particular, if you have these data, then there's a set of semi-stable objects in the derived category. So then you can, if you have a stability condition, then you can consider the modular stack of sigma semi-stable object with the chunk character given V. So so in the classical setting of like geometrical stability conditions, so you can construct such modular stack by the global GIT quotient stack. But in general, we don't know how to construct such a stack explicitly. But anyway, so in many known examples of stability conditions, we know that this modular stack is a algebraic stack of finite type. And also by the recent work by Alper, Hyperion-Leistner, sorry, Alper, Hyperion-Leistner, and Heinroth, we also know that such modular stack admits a so-called good modular space. So good modular space is like something like, for example, in the case that some deductive group acting on quasi projective variety, affine variety, then the good modular space of this quotient stack is just the usual GIT quotient. So this notion of good modular space was suggested by Alper several years ago, and so it, yes, this is quite, this is a kind of generalization of the coarse modular space for doing manifold stacks. And we know that in known situations, so this good modular space is a proper algebraic space of a finite type. So in general, if you consider the space of stability conditions, then there exists a wall and chamber structure on this space of stability conditions, such that this modular space is constant when sigma lies on a chamber, but it may change when sigma crosses a wall. So this is called wall and chamber wall crossing phenomena. And if the stability condition lies on a wall and let's say, for example, sigma lies in this wall, and sigma plus and sigma minus lie on these adjacent chambers, then we can construct the diagram of these good modular spaces of semi-stable objects. So this is something very similar to the diagram, which appears like a flip or flop in birational geometry. So we can ask whether this is a flip or flop in the usual sense, for example. So for example, in the case of KC surface, you can rigorously address these questions in the usual birational geometry. So let's assume that X is a KC surface. And let's take a numerical class to be a primitive vector. Right? In this case, we can take V to be a primitive Mekai vector. Then the modular spaces of stable objects are known to be holomorphic symplectic manifolds. So this is very well known in the case of modular space of stable shapes by Mukai, and for the Bayesian stable object, it was proven by Aaron and McCool. And under some conditions, this diagram of wall crossing diagram is known to be a flop of holomorphic symplectic manifolds. So in this case, the following the principle of decay conjecture, by Bondar-Orloff and Kawamata, we expect a derived equivalence of these moduli spaces. And indeed, it is known to be true. So this is a work by Hyperion Leistner. So now, as I told in the introduction, my interest is on the Calabian-Seaford case. So in fact, I assume that X is a Calabian-Seaford. This means that the complex dimension of X is 3, and the canonical line boundary of X is trivial. And again, I also take V to be primitive. So the reason why I take V to be primitive is that for generic choice of stability conditions, there is no strictly semi-stable sheaf. So the moduli theory becomes fine. But on the wall, so there may be some strictly semi-stable objects. So it makes so there is a wall coaching phenomena on the wall. And contrary to the case of KC surface, we have the following issues. In the case of KC surface, the moduli space is for generic choice of stability conditions, they are non-singular homomorphic symplectic manifolds. This is because there is no for stable sheaf on KC surface. The obstruction space is only one-dimensional, and it does not affect the deformation of obstruction theory. So it is essentially there is no obstruction space. But in the Calabian-Seaford case, the tangent and obstruction are dual to each other. So we always have, if the dimension of the moduli space is positive, then we always have an obstruction space. So it is quite rare that this moduli space becomes smooth. And in general, so this is not necessarily irreducible, not necessarily reduced. So for such a scheme, it does not make sense to talk about birational geometry. For example, we cannot even define the usual canonical line boundary of such moduli space. I will talk later, but we have a virtual version of that canonical boundary. But anyway, so the usual canonical boundary does not make sense. And also, even if this moduli space becomes smooth for some special reason, under wall crossing, they are not necessarily birational. For example, it may have defined dimensions. So although the resulting wall crossing diagram is quite similar to the free flop diagram, so it is also rare that this is indeed an honest birational map. But although we have such issues, so we have some special structures or moduli spaces of stable objects on Calabian-Seaford. In the case of KC surface, we have a symplectic structure on such moduli space. This is given by the self-duality pairing on the on X1 on the X1 space. But for the Calabian-Seaford case, we don't have a symplectic structure, but instead we have so-called shifted symplectic structure, which was found in the context of derived algebraic geometry. So indeed, by the work of Pantev, Toem, Bakir, and Bezossi, the moduli spaces of stable objects on Calabian-Seaford are known to be classical truncations of derived schemes, which admit -1 shifted symplectic structures. So such a symplectic structure, such a version of symplectic structure only available on the derived enhancement of these moduli spaces. But the Joyce and his collaborators showed that there is a certain classical shadow of these -1 shifted symplectic structures on the classical truncations that they call D-critical structure. So here is a definition. Here is a rough definition of D-critical structure. The full version of the definition is a bit technical, and I don't give it full detail. But roughly speaking, a D-critical structure or a scheme is how to say? I should say a D-critical locus is a scheme M, which is locally written as a critical locus. Yes, Y is a smooth scheme, and W is some function on this smooth scheme, and So this crit W is a critical locus of this W, scheme theoretic critical locus. So the critical locus is locally isomorphic to this critical locus, but it does not say that it has a global critical locus descriptions. But nevertheless, the D critical structure is that so there is a certain global data which gives a certain gluing of this local picture. More precisely, if you have this local chart, then it has it admits a certain local section of some C for C vector space on this scheme M, which is canonically defined from M. Then this local section glued to give a certain global section on some C for C vector space on M. Yes, but again, so the existence of D critical structure does not imply that M is globally written as a critical locus. So it only remembers how these critical chart interact on the overlap on the open subset of M. So then I'd like to define the, some D critical version of some bilateral map, which I called as D critical flips or D critical flops. So let M plus and M minus be D critical loci. And let's consider a diagram of schemes. So here's a bit of useful notation. So I assume that M plus and M minus are D critical, but M is not D critical. So yes, yes, what I have in my mind is that this word crossing diagram in the Calabi C for the case. So if you take V to be primitive and sigma plus and sigma minus lie on chambers, then this M sigma plus and this V and M sigma minus V are fine moduli space. So it has a natural obstruction theory and we have nice D critical structures. But on the downstairs, it is a good moduli space. So it does not admit nice obstruction theory. So it's not necessarily D critical. And I would say that this is a D critical flip or flop if for some point, for a point in the downstairs, if there is an open subset in the downstairs and the commutative diagram of this form. And the condition is that the y plus minus are smooth varieties. And these are the bilateral map. And that this bilateral map on this smooth ambient space is either flip or flop in the usual sense. And also the second condition is that we have isomorphisms of this pullback of F plus and F minus and U with the critical locus of W plus minus. That is the W plus minus are given by this commutative diagram. So the point is that the W plus and W minus are put back from some common function on this downstairs. And a priori, so this definition may depend on choice of such y plus and y minus. But in the case of the wall crossing diagram of Calabi-Seifert, there is a canonical way to construct such a diagram using the infinity structure on the derived category. So there is no ambiguity in this, in the case of moduli space of the stable object case. And also in the usual flip or flop, so it has to do with the equalities of the usual canonical line boundaries. For example, in the usual flip case, one may say that ky plus is bigger than ky minus or equal in the flip case. So in this D critical flip or D critical flop case, instead of usual canonical line boundary, we have a so-called virtual canonical line boundary. So this is roughly speaking inequalities of these virtual canonical line boundaries. sorry. I'm sorry. Yes. So here is an example of D-critical flip. So, for example, let's consider the blow-up diagram of C2. Then let's take a function on the downstairs on C2 given by gxy equal xy. So by taking the critical locus of W plus and W minus, we have this diagram, M plus and M minus. So geometrically, M plus is, so this is, so this is P1 with two non-reduced structures, and M minus is just 1 point. So the geometrically, so these critical locus are quite different. But still, so that you can virtually interpret as a certain birational map. And sorry. So here's another example which arises from modular spaces of something. So let's see a smooth projective curve with genus G, and let SKC. So this is a case symmetric product of C. And let's take JC to be its Jacobian. Then for each positive integer n, we have a classical diagram of Abelian-Jacobi maps. So that is, we have symmetric product n plus g minus 1 point to the Jacobian given by sending n plus g minus 1 point. Sorry. Yes, pi plus is defined in this way, and pi minus is defined in this way. So here Z0 is a fixed divisor with degree n plus g minus 1. So this is a classical diagram of symmetric product of curve and its Jacobian. And we can see that this is at a point in this image of pi minus. This is a D-critical flip. And although, but they have different dimensions, so they are not birational. Okay, so then I'd like to talk about categorical Donaldson-Thomas theory. So first, let me recall about Donaldson-Thomas invariants in terms of vanishing cycle series. So let M be a D-critical locus, like say M is a maybe a modular space of stable objects on Cabir seafold. So let's recall that. So this means that it is locally written as a critical locus of some function or scheme or smooth scheme Y. So then locally we have the so-called power sheaf vanishing cycles. So yes, I don't recall the definition of vanishing cycle sheaf, but the roughly speaking, this is some sheaf version of the Milnor fibers of the function W. Yes, so, but this is just a local statement, and it's not clear whether we have some globalization of such vanishing cycle sheaves. But nevertheless, so if we have a so-called orientation data of M, so this is also a technical notion, but so this is like a choice of square root line bundle of the so-called virtual canonical line bundle. But there may be several choice of this orientation data, but this recently the Joyce and Meyer proposed existence of canonical orientation data. But anyway, so if you have some that orientation data, then by the work of Joyce and his collaborators, these locally defined power sheaves grew to give a global power sheaf, which I denoted as phi m. And if M is a moduli space of stable objects, and we also assume that this is a fine moduli space, then the DT invariant is given by, the first definition is given by the integration of the virtual fundamental class. So this was the original definition of Richard Thomas. But later, Behrend showed that this integration of the virtual class coincides with the weighted Euler characteristic of some constructive function on this moduli space. That is so-called Behrend function. So this is eventually the same as the Euler characteristic of the vanishing cycle sieve phi m. Although this phi m depends on choice of orientation data, the resulting Euler characteristic does not depend on choice of orientation data. Okay, then the idea of the categorification of DT invariant is that instead of taking the vanishing cycle sieve by W, we can try to consider the DG or triangulated category of matrix factorizations, which are denoted by MF by W. So by definition, the object of this matrix factorization category consists of these data, P0 to P1, P1 to P0. So this is the definition of this category, and so these are the objects of these categories, and the compositions of these maps are given by multiplication by this W, and each PI is a coherent sheaf on Y. It has to do with the vanishing cycle sheaf. So this is given by Efimov, but he shows that the hypercohomology of this vanishing cycle sheaf is isomorphic to the periodic cyclic homology of this matrix factorization category. So in particular, if you take Euler characteristic of these cohomology series, then we have this identity. So the left-hand side is basically the Thomson-Thomas invariant, at least locally. And so in this sense, so this category of matrix factorization is something like a locally a category version of the DT invariant. So the natural question is that, similar to the case of vanishing cycle sieve, whether we can group these locally defined category of matrix factorizations to define some global category. Sorry. So here is a question. So let M be a D critical locus, and let's take a local critical chart. So then, as before, so we can associate the category of matrix factorizations. The question is that whether we can group these locally defined DG or triangulated category. So in some sense, so that the by taking the Euler characteristic of the periodic cyclic homology, we can recover the original DT invariant. But it requires several technical subtleties to define the grouping in this way. For example, in defining the in constructing the global power sheaf, we have to choose orientation data, and the orientation data gives the local twisting of the power sheaves. And similar to this, I think we also need to consider the certain twisting coming from the orientation data or something more. And the heuristically, so after considering some twisting, we may have some infinite factor from the category of this pair of y and w. Y is a smooth scheme. W is some function such that its critical locus is open subset of M to the infinite category of DG categories or something. And then we may have, construct the limit of this infinite factor. But it is technically very difficult to construct such a infinite factor because we have to also consider this twisting. But anyway, so if we have such a category, we'd like to call it as a DT category, and we'd like to, and then try to consider such a category. So here's the main conjecture. So let us consider the Wolff crossing diagram in Calabi-Yau threefolds. So the first conjecture is the critical analog of Wolff-Kamuta's decay conjecture. So yes, we expect the existence of DT categories on the moduli space of stable objects on Calabi-Yau threefold, such that if the above diagram is a D critical flip or flop, then we have a free face functor in the case of D critical flip case, and also equivalence in the case of D critical flop case. And the second conjecture is a categorification of Wolff crossing formula in DT theory. So the Wolff crossing formula in DT theory is so this is the description of the change of DT invariant under Wolff crossing. Yes, we also expect that by describing the orthogonal complement of this free face functor, then we may recover the, and also by taking the periodic cyclic homology and Euler characteristic, we may be able to recover the Wolff crossing formula of the usual numerical DT invariants established by Joyson and Consovich-Stahlberman. So here's one example. Again, so let's consider a case of symmetric product of curves. So let's see a smooth projective curve with genus G, and let's consider a diagram of a Jacobi map. And as I told before, so if n is positive, then this is a D critical flip, although they are not birational. But still, in this case, so I don't claim that the derived category, or usual derived category is a DT category. But anyway, so the usual derived category may be something like approximation of the expected DT category. And in this case, we have this semi-orthogonal decomposition. So this is very similar to the usual semi-orthogonal decomposition by Bondar and Wolff given by the so-called toric flip. Of course, this is not necessary. This is not a toric flip, but if you take a local chart, local on the downstairs, then you can describe it as a toric flip together with some superpotential on the downstairs. So local, you have this picture, and the claim is that we can globalize this. And also this is a example from the curve. We can interpret it as a Wolff crossing diagram in a moduli space of some object in derived category of Calabi-Yau threefolds. So for example, let's embed C into a Calabi-Yau threefold so that C is super rigid inside this Calabi-Yau threefold. So then you can consider so-called Pantani-Barnett Thomas stable pair moduli space on this Calabi-Yau threefold with support C. Then you can then this symmetric product of points are these stable pair moduli spaces, and this diagram is also a Wolff crossing diagram in some changeable stability conditions. So now the general construction of the DT category is still difficult for me, and today I'd like to focus on the so-called local surface. So the local surface is such a non-compact Calabrian threefold given by the total space of canonical line bundle on a surface. So let S be a smooth projective surface, and let X be the total space of its canonical line bundle. So in this case, so there is a close relationship between the moduli spaces of a stable sieve, moduli space of sieves on X and moduli space of sieves on S. So this is a moduli space, moduli stack of compactly supported sieves on X. And so this is the derived moduli stack of coherent sieves on S. So, but here this relation holds without taking any stability. So if you take stability, then this relation is not true in general. But if you don't consider any stability, then the moduli stack of sieves on X is given by the so-called -1 sheeted cotangent over the moduli stack, derived moduli stack on S. So roughly speaking, the derived moduli stack of covariant sieves on S have some singularities, and this data of the singularity has to do with the extra data on S, on X. That is, giving a coherent sieve on X is equivalent to giving a sieve F on S together with so-called Higgs field. But by self derivative, so this is derived to the x to 2 ff dual. This x to 2 is, so this is our obstruction space for the deformation of sieves on S. So yes, so another way to say about this relation is that this MXV is so-called dual obstruction cone with respect to the natural perfect obstruction theory on the moduli space of the sieves on S. And yes, here use in the terminology of derived algebraic geometry, so this -1 sheeted cotangent is given by the spectrum of the symmetric product of the tangent complex sheeted by 1. But I repeat again, but this relation only holds without considering any stability conditions. And yes, in order to define some DT invariant or its categorification, we have to consider stability condition. And the stability condition on X and S are slightly different. And I'd like to extract information of the stable locus or unstable locus on X from some data on S. So from this purpose, I'd like, yes, my idea is to use the so-called singular support, which was yes, which was introduced by Alinki and Getz-Gui in the context of geometric Lagrange problem. So here is a brief explanation about singular supports of coherent sieves on quasi smooth derived schemes. So the setting is as follows. So let's consider Y to be a smooth scheme, and V is a vector bundle on Y. And also it admits a section S. So then let's take a derived zero locus of this section S. That is nothing but the derived fiber product of this diagram. So in this situation, the Alinki and Getz-Gui defined the so-called singular support for object in the derived category of coherent sieves on U. So this is denoted by this. So, but it does. So usual support lies on the usual support is a closed subscheme on U, but the singular support is so this is a closed subset of the classical truncation of the -1 shifted cotangent of U. So, so maybe I forgot to say that this T0 is a classical truncation. So roughly speaking, so this singular support is defined by the following two natural maps. So first of all, so there is a natural map from the structure sheaf of this classical truncation of -1 shifted cotangent to the symmetric product of the second Hofstede cohomology of U. So this is something similar to the so-called analog of Hofstede constant Rosenberg isomorphism. So the usual HKR isomorphism describes Hofstede cohomology in terms of hypercohomology of Fourier vector field. And this, the structure sheaf of this -1 shifted cotangent is something like a tangent complex on symmetric product of the tangent complex on U. So you can imagine that there is a relationship between the structure sheaf of this -1 shifted cotangent and Hofstede cohomology of U. And this second map is that Hofstede cohomology is interpreted as certain natural transformations of the derived category. Or that is, if you have an element H is U, so then it gives a natural transformations in dBU. So it also gives a natural map from F to F shift by 2 for any object in dBU. So by taking symmetric product, we have a map from the symmetric product of the second Hofstede cohomology to the even part of the homospace of F. So by the composition of these maps, we have the, yes, this singular support is nothing but the support of F under these maps. Namely, so by these maps, this Hom2 star FF is regarded as a module of the sheaf over the -1 shifted cotangent. So we can just take its support. So here's my proposal for the definition of DT categories in the local surface case. But this is only C-star equivalent version. So this C-star action comes from the local surface. That is, so there's a C-star action fiber-wise from the local surface to the surface S. And so my proposal about C-star equivalent DT category is given by the limit of from this. So U is, as before, this is quasi smooth derived scheme given by the derived zero locus. And alpha is, so this is a smooth map. And also this Z sigma unstable. So this is sigma unstable locus. So I've choose certain stability conditions. And then by fixing some stability condition, we have the unstable locus on this moduli space, moduli stack of sieves on X. And this subcategory, so this is a subcategory of object whose singular supports are contained in Z. So now here Z is contained in the -1 shifted cotangent. The reason why I'd like to call it as DT category is that so it is eventually certain grouping of the matrix factorization category. That is, if you take by so-called Koszyluk duality, we can show that this quotient category is equivalent to the matrix factorization category of the semi-stable part. So here, so if you don't take sigma semi-stable part, then this is equivalent to the usual derived category of U. So Yes, by considering the senior support, we can extract the semi-stable part on the Cauchy dual side. So here W is a function V dual to C given in this way. And we can show that the critical locus of this W gives a locally describe this modular space of sigma semi-stable objects. Okay, so now finally I'd like to, I will explain my main result in this direction about the Windows theorem in the case for the DT category, which I defined before. So the original Windows theorem is stated in the following way. So this is defined for this is established for the GIT quotient stack. So let Y be a smooth affine variety with an action of a reductive algebraic group G. So then given a G equivalent line bundle L on Y, you have the G invariant of subset of L semi-stable points. The Windows theorem by Hyperion Leistner, Ballard, Fabio, Katsakov is that the existence of certain triangulated subcategory in the derived category of this quotient stack, such that if you take the composition, then this gives the equivalence. So in other word is that so there is some splitting of this natural essential surjective functor. So for example, this is used to show the original decay conjecture. For example, if you take other G equivalent line bundle L prime, then some flip or flop may be described as variation of GIT quotient, like LG. So in order to compare the derived category of these two quotient stack, by using this window theorem, it is now to compare these window categories. So if we can show that there is an inclusion of this window category, then we can show the existence of free face functor, for example. Yes, I will give analog of this window theorem for the previous DT categories and give its applications. So, but before stating the main result, I prepare some technical definitions. So let M be a quasi-smooth derived stack. So quasi-smooth means that it is locally given by the derived zero locus on some smooth scheme. And also let's assume that its classical truncation admits a good modular space. So the first definition is so-called symmetric structure. So this is a choice of direct sum decomposition of the zeroth cohomology of the tangent complex and the first cohomology of this tangent complex, but I take it dual. So this is something, this is like a tangent complex of the minus one sheet cotangent of M. But this symmetric structure is a choice of direct sum decomposition. But this SX is dual, self-dual. So yeah, so this is a choice for any closed point. And by the assumption that this classical truncation admits a good modular space, this is known to be a reductive algebraic group. But so this is quite how to say flexible definition. So for example, you can also take SX to be 0. So this definition itself is not interesting. But if you also import the additional condition for another choice of line boundary on M. So if you take line boundary on M, I would say that this is compatible with this symmetric structure. If for any closed point, we have this revision of the semi-stable locus. That is, if you take the semi-stable locus with respect to this Lx, Lx is just this is just restricted to auto X. So there's a natural map from B auto X to M. I just take a pullback. Then this is just a character of auto X. So then we have this, the compatibility of L and S is this, is that the Lx semi-stable locus in the left-hand side is coming from the Lx semi-stable locus on the symmetric part. So this is a bit, this is a much stronger condition. But for example, in some case, you can, for example, if you consider moduli space of one-dimensional sieve, then this left-hand side is automatically self-dual. So you can take Ux equals 0, then the second condition automatically holds. So this is a version of Windows theorem. So let's M be a quasi smooth derived stack whose classical allocation admits a good moduli space. And also we have a symmetric structure and also some more reasonable conditions. For example, M is like quasi compact, affine stabilizer or whatever. The main theorem is that given these data, and also let's take L and delta as a line boundary on the classical truncation of this M, which satisfies some genericity conditions. Then there exists a triangulated subcategory. So this is analog of the window subcategory in the original GRT quotient situation, such that if you take for the L unstable locus, so this unstable locus lies in the -1 sheet cotangent, and it may not come from the it may not come from on S. But nevertheless, you take a composition, then this is free face, and if you also assume that L is compatible with S, then this is equivalent. So in particular, so this if M is symmetric, that is the if H0Tm, so this is always a dual. Sorry. It's so yeah, anyway, so if this left-hand side is self-dual, then this compatibility is empty condition, so this is always equivalent. The corollary of the Windows theorem is as follows. So under the assumption of the previous theorem, let's also assume that L1 and L2 satisfy some genericity condition, and L1 is compatible with S. Then, so we have a free faithful functor from the DT category with respect to some choice of L1 to the DT category for other choice of L2. And if we also assume that L2 is also compatible with S, then this is equivalent. So this is also quite similar to the use of the usual Windows theorem in the GRT quotient stack case. So I give some applications. So the first application is the equivalence for the DT categories of one-dimensional sieves. So for smooth projective surface S, let's take primitive element. So V is a choice of beta and n. Beta is a curve class in S, divisor class in S, and n is integer. And H is the ample divisor on S. Then the moduli space MXHV is the moduli space of compactly supported H Jizuka semi-stable sheaves on X, whose support has dimension 1, and its push forward has homologic class beta and homologic Euler characteristic equals to n. Then yes, so this is a classical moduli space of one-dimensional sheaves. So if you consider the wave crossing diagram, wave crossing of this moduli space of one-dimensional sheaves on the local surface X, then we can show that this moduli space is related by d critical flop. So in this case, we expect that there is a equivalence of the associated dt categories. So this is a conjecture. So I'd like to call it as a categorical GB conjecture because if you consider the associated dt invariant of this moduli space of one-dimensional sheaves, this is nothing but the genus 0 buffer invariance. And it is known that the genus 0 buffer invariants are invariant under wave crossing from the wave crossing argument of Joyson, Korsovich-Stoverman. And in this case, we a conjecture is equivalence of the associated dt categories. So by taking the periodic cyclic homology and taking Euler characteristic, so this should recover the wave crossing invariance of the genus 0 buffer invariant. So here is the application of the Windows theorem to this previous conjecture. So the previous categorical GB conjecture is true if every strictly H semi-stable sheaf on X is pushed forward to H semi-stable sheaf on S. So in general, so this last condition is not satisfied, but there are several cases where this condition is automatically satisfied. For example, if you take the curve class to be a reduced one, that is the yes. This is, for example, satisfied when beta is reduced. So this means that any effective divisor which has numerical class beta is a reduced divisor. And in this case, we have in this case, this cell name is reduced to certain equivalence of derived moduli space of the sheaves on the surface S rather than the C4 X. Yes, the first consequence is that we have derived equivalence for moduli spaces of one-dimensional stable sheaves on S with reduced supports. Another implication is that for arbitrary curve class, if you consider the classical moduli space of one-dimensional stable sheaves for generic Henriques surface, so I should say this is a generic Henriques. So then by the work of Zucker, so she showed that such a moduli space is a Calabi-Yau manifold. That is, the canonical line boundary is strictly trivial. And by wave crossing, we have a birational map between Zucker's Calabi-Yau manifold. And this theorem also implies that these Zucker's Calabi-Yau manifolds are derived equivalent in the usual sense. So this theorem also implies the usual decay conjecture for this moduli space of the sheaves on Henriques surface. It also implies it also recovers the case of the KC surface, which was previously proven by Hyperion Leistner. Yeah, so other application is like so-called DT-PT correspondence, which I would call as MNOP-PT correspondence. So I don't have enough time, so I explain briefly. So for each curve class and homologic Euler characteristic, we have the so-called MNOP-PT moduli spaces. So INX beta is moduli space of closed subschemes. And PNX beta is so-called Pandai-Thomas stable pair moduli spaces. So this is a pair of one-dimensional sheaves with compact support and with a section which is surjectly dimension 1. So the it was conjectured and proven by myself that the resulting DT invariants have some relationship after taking generating series, and the difference is described by McMahon function. But the geometrically, so these moduli space is these moduli space is related by D critical flip. So in this case, we expect certain free phase functor between the associated DT categories. So in this case, we have the following result. So in the case of local surface, we have also similar definitions of the DT categories of the moduli space of subschemes and moduli space of stable pairs. The conjecture is that we have a free phase functor between these PT categories and MNOP categories. And the result is that this is true when the curve class is a reduced class. So this is also application by the Windows 7. And so I have several open questions, but I don't have some time. So yes, I stop here. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank Professor taught us excellent lecture. Any questions? If you have questions, you unmute and you can ask questions.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So is there minimality? So concept of minimality of the D critical?
Yes. Yes. One proposal is that yes. So for any D critical locus, let me the D critical locus. Then you can define the so-called virtual canonical line boundary. So for example, if M is given by classical transformation of the derived scheme, then this is, let's say, if M is I'm sorry, it doesn't work. If M is a truncation of this derived scheme, then this is the determinant of the tangent complex is equal to M. So one proposal is that this is NEF. So this virtual canonical line boundary plays a role of the usual canonical line boundary. So does it answer your question?
Yeah, yes. So then do you have also MMP and so on?
Yes. Of course, it is very difficult to to have an analogy of the contraction theorem, like in the D critical setting. But of course, you can let's say you can consider, if you consider this diagram. You can call it as a D critical MMP if each step is either like D critical flip or something. And the final one is a D critical minimum model. But at this moment, I think this is very difficult to have to construct such a general theory. And the contraction theorem you proved is this is quite difficult in this D critical setting for me.
Okay, so other questions? If you have questions, you should unmute your audio.
Could you explain open questions?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, so there are several open questions, and Of course, the first question is whether we have DT category and general for general Calabi-Yau threefold. So yeah, of course, this requires quite certain problem on the infinite categories. And also another open question is that, so in my talk, I gave a proof for this Bachmann buffer MNOPPT conjecture for reduced curve class. And if you consider arbitrary curve class, so in this case, so I don't have, so the problem is that if you take a push forward of the semi-stable moduli stack of semi-stable sheaf on the surface on the threefold X, it may not rely on some derived open sub scheme, derived open substack of moduli space of safe zone S, which have good moduli space. So yes, I think finally I need to find a way to do such a statement without using a good moduli space. That is at least challenging problem for me. And another challenging problem is that so far, for example, in the MNOPPT correspondence, I can only give a free face functor, but the numerical vision of the associated DT invariant is that, so you can describe the difference of these DT and PT invariants using Mach-Mohr functions. And the problem is that whether we can see this Mach-Mohr function from this categorical view from these categories. I think this is even open in the local case. For example, if you consider the Hilbert scheme of points in C3, then it is globally with the critical locus, and then you can consider its matrix factorization category. The question is that whether you can describe this matrix factorization category in terms of like semi-orthogonal decompositions with the number of components given by the number of three-dimensional partitions or so on. So, but the probably is, so this is a local question, and globally I think that it can be described using the global cohort structure constructed by Porter and Sarah. Another question is that so far I only considered the case that the numerical class is primitive, so that there is no strict semi-stables. And but if there is a strict semi-stable, then there is a so-called BPS invariant, or so-called generalized DT invariant. And the question is that whether we can construct such a category. And locally means that in the quiver with superpotential case, there is the work by Tudor Padurayu, so who constructed BPS category or its case theory version, and show the so-called PBW theorem, which was established by Davison and Meyhart in the case of cohomological DT invariant for quiver with superpotential. I think this is quite important to construct such a theory in the more global situation. And the final question is that whether, if you consider the generating series of PT invariants, there is a rationality statement. And whether we have such a rationality statement from this category, either using word crossing or using categorical Hecke actions. So this is also, this should be also induced by the categorified cohort structure by Porter and Sarah. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so then on behalf of all the audience, let me thank Professor Toda for a wonderful, excellent talk.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so the next speaker will start at 15 past an hour. Okay, so we take a few minutes. Wait.